afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. For students and teachers, another school year is ending. For many, that means final exams, field days, and field trips. Getting out of the classroom and going to a museum, or as in our story today, a farm, is a tradition that provides a break from the routine while also teaching a lesson about community and the students' role in the place they call home. The students of the Albert D. Lawton Middle School in Essex Junction visited a nearby farm, and Keith Silva tagged along and followed this report.
Today we are going on a field trip.
Sixth graders from the Albert D. Lawton Middle School in Essex Junction took a short bus ride from school to the North Williston Cattle Company to tour this dairy farm and learn about careers in agriculture.
I think they're really just trying to teach us what goes on behind all the food and stuff you get at the farms.
Is anybody here interested in robotics?
Mary Whitcomb and her family have hosted school groups at the farm for years. She understands the importance of agricultural education.
This is my grandson Memphis. He is the 4th generation right now on our farm and the 8th generation total for our family.
Why did you have this group out here, Mary?
Educating the public about agriculture is important, and we're in a very suburban area. Chittenden County is the most populated area in the state, and we feel that this is a good age to target. They're all still milk drinkers. They're going to become consumers in the next few years, so what better place to learn about that than on a working dairy farm right in their backyard.
Calves and cows are the star attractions on tours like this. But on this day, so is agronomist Tom Eaton with Agricultural Consulting Services.
The other thing that we'll see a lot more of is guys and farmers and people who do what I do using drones. It's important for kids to understand that there's a lot more to farming than what the farmer does on a day-to-day basis and his chores. And it's important for them to understand the decisions that go into everyday things on a farm to make a farm profitable and sustainable.
Although he spends most of his time in the relative calm and quiet of cornfields, Eaton wants these students to understand how his work is based in math and science.
We're using science just to drive decisions and to basically, take something off the farmer's plate and to, just give him that extra advice and that extra consultation so that he can focus on what he's good at and let us focus on what we're good at.
We found 18 species of dung beetles here.
Bryony Sands studies dung beetles and their impact on the environment. She shared her research with students and talked about how beneficial insects like beetles are vital to healthy soils and crops. Finn Hamilton was quick to understand why dung beetles are referred to as beneficial insects.
I feel like it's pretty important because it helps the soil and it can help grow the food that we all eat and enjoy. And if you take the dung beetles away, you pretty much take the food that we eat.
So what actually they're doing is they're chewing their cud.
University of Vermont Extension 4-H, in collaboration with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, facilitated this tour. Gina Clitheroe works for the Agency of Ag as a farm-to-institution program manager.
I think the value in events like this and curriculum that's focused on teaching kids about our local agricultural economy and our communities is to give just an inside view into there's a lot more here going on than maybe I even realized was an opportunity to work here in Vermont. Farming is so important to what makes Vermont, Vermont.
Martha Manning is a UVM Extension 4-H educator.
4-H is way more than the club program. We have also programs for other youth, and part of it is opportunities like this that show youth, career opportunities and science opportunities and all types of different topics that are covered through 4-H.
Chandler and I both went to school for dairy management. We both grew up on farms like this one.
Keeping kids in Vermont, keeping people, at least so that they're, whether you become a farmer or whether you're the neighbor to a farmer or you live in a community with a farmer, we all need to have an understanding of what agriculture is in Vermont and its importance to the Vermont economy.
So the cows are actually with the robots.
A farm is like a little chamber of commerce. Sales and repair people visit farms often to service equipment. Chris Hill, a sales consultant for Lely, which sells and services robotic milking machines, took the students to see the robots hard at work. Carson Koch went in curious and came out impressed at the robots and the state-of-the-art technology happening less than a few miles from her school.
At first, I was a little curious to see what it would look like, but I thought it was pretty cool how everything worked. It cleaned the cow, and then it milked it, and it knew how much the cow needs to eat, and just more important information about the cow. There's a lot of the stuff that you can do on the farm other than just taking care of animals.
Toma Esselstrom echoed what Koch and the others learned about agricultural careers during their visit.
I feel like when most people think of farms, they kind of just think of animals and people working with animals and not other things.
Danielle Petralia teaches math and science at ADL. She deemed the day a success.
The kids have been stuck inside, and we have not been on any field trips until this school year. So this is actually the second field trip they've been on since COVID. I loved that it was relaxed. I loved that we learned a lot of different aspects of the farm. I think they also appreciated having some younger kind of college-age students here, teaching them about farming. It's a big deal because I think some people think only certain types of people are farmers, right? And it's very old-fashioned. And so I think for them to see some young people here spurring interest gives them knowing that there's an opportunity that they can actually go into that for a living.
The cover crop basically acts as a barrier.
And who knows, Kelby Spalding may end up being that person.
Have you ever thought about a career on a farm? What have you thought you'd like to do on a farm?
Be a farmer.
You think you'd like to be a farmer? What do you think that means?
Being with animals and being outdoors and doing stuff I like.
For many of these sixth graders, stuff I like now includes a possible career in agriculture. In Williston, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Keith, and the Whitcomb family. Nice story. And right now I'm joined by Sarah Kleinman, the State Director of UVM Extension's 4-H program via Zoom. Good afternoon, Sarah.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Great. And so summer is a busy time for 4-H, and in a minute we'll talk about 4-H programs that are happening this summer. But first I want to talk about, this career development event. I'm interested that they're middle school students, not high school students, that come to this career event. Talk about that.
Sure. So there is much more research that is pointing to the need to start career exploration early. By the time students get into high school, they are often picking their courses, and what they choose, right, that sort of determines oftentimes the types of fields that you can go into. And if they don't know what they want to do, or they haven't been exposed to potential careers that they didn't even know existed by, 10th, 11th grade, it's often kind of late to be able to switch course and get the right kinds of credits. And so again, there's more research that's pointing to exposing young people earlier, middle school, 6th grade. Also, there's, of course, the flow of education now with personalized learning plans and the opportunity to get out, do internships, and gain some credits elsewhere. And again, if you can expose young people earlier to potential career paths and mentors, all the better. They may switch and go in a different direction.
Terrific. And ADL wasn't the only school that got to visit a farm this year, thanks to 4-H and its partners. There are other schools. What other schools are involved in what farms?
Sure, we did. We had one other event. It was at Fairmont Farm in East Montpelier, and that particular location had more of the Northeast Kingdom, Central Vermont. We had Braintree, Newberry, Williamstown, and Stowe, I think along with a homeschool group that had attended as well. But about 200 youth altogether between the two events.
Oh, great, lucky kids. So school's out now, so it's time to talk about 4-H summer opportunities. What's happening in 4-H this summer?
Well, lots of things. Of course, summer is our busy season. So there are, of course, lots of clinics and workshops to be able to learn a little bit more about animals. There's dairy clinics, and there's a sheep and goat camp that's coming up, and I think registration might still be open for. We do have lots of Summer of Science programs. So those are single-day opportunities all throughout the state where young people can really just kind of dive into a topic area like rocketry, forest ecology, water quality, microbes. And then we also have some farm safety camps as well.
Right, and you have the safety training coming up that you'd like to highlight that has to do with preparedness around opiate overdose. That's pretty rough. Talk about that.
We do. This is a new initiative for us. 4-H has been involved in a program called Prosper for many years, which is a program that builds strong family bonds, but also helps young people avoid risky behaviors, including drug and alcohol substance misuse. And so this new initiative is an online 10-minute training that we're calling community first responders, and it's for the general population to understand signs of overdose and then how to reverse those using Narcan. So you can go onto our website, take this 10-minute training module, complete it, and then we will deliver through the mail when it's available a free Narcan that you can put in your first aid kit and have it on you should you be faced with somebody having an overdose in your community.
Well, yeah, I think of 4-H as offering health and safety programs for years about on-farm safety, such as fire and safe handling of equipment. But this is, this is more about medical events. Is this just important across the board in Vermont now?
It is, and certainly New England. This particular project is a partnership. It actually originated out of the University of Rhode Island, and they had seen the trends that were happening along really the Northeast area. And so we jumped on board. This is both for youth and adults. So anybody, it could be delivered. You can take it individually. We can also have some partners from the University of Rhode Island come and deliver a more in-depth training that might be geared towards teachers or school nurses or businesses. And again, it's just really helpful to know because the signs of overdose, may look like a different medical event and time is of the essence. So having that, we all have first aid kits, oftentimes either in our car or sometimes in our purse, but having that new tool, having the Narcan available is something important to have in that first aid kit now as well.
Sure, you can save a life. So quickly, how is 4-H staff or volunteers heading into the summer months?
We're in good shape, but we can always use more. We get calls all the time about young people wanting to join our programs, but we're limited, certainly, by the number of volunteers that we have because it is a collaboration and a partnership with communities. So we're always looking for more adults, parents, community members who have a special skill that they want to share to volunteer and come join us and help reach young people. Build those groups.
So, Sarah, how do they do that? How can they get more information about 4-H for some of these efforts?
They can go on our website, which is uvm.edu/extension/youth and find our information, or certainly phone call 1-800-571-0668.
Okay, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful summer with all your 4-H programs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope to see you there.
And that's our program for today. Thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.